In life, small decisions can lead to unexpectedly dangerous situations. The following 3 stories tell the terrifying experiences of young people as they searched for new opportunities through online ads. From searching for their first apartment to buying sports equipment, each story offers a valuable lesson in vigilance and intuition in unfamiliar situations. Story 1. Be vigilant in the dark night. Amanda's story has become a familiar topic in conversations with my family and friends. At the time, Amanda was my brother's girlfriend, and she was looking for her first apartment away from her parents' house. My brother didn't want to move in with her because they had only been dating for a few months. So Amanda decided to find a roommate through Craigslist. She found an ad with the title "Looking for Women to be Roommates," which wasn't too strange since the area she was searching for was mostly young people. According to the advertisement, the room for rent costs $225 per month, a much cheaper price than other places in the area. The renter is a 23-year-old college student, and the other roommate has her own room and bathroom. However, the listing only had one photo from the outside of the house, but Amanda decided to take a look anyway. One evening, around 8 o'clock, Amanda arrived at the given address. She saw a handwritten note taped to the front door, informing her that the door was broken and asking to use the back door. The house looked nice but seemed a bit unkempt, with overgrown weeds and dust stuck to the windows. Even so, Amanda didn't feel suspicious and continued knocking on the back door. An older man opened the door. He looked as if he lived in his car, with pale, unshaven skin, and the dim light from the kitchen light illuminating his face. The house has no furniture other than empty walls. The homeowner answered Amanda's questions with politeness, but seemed irritated at having to keep the lights on for too long. When Amanda asked to see the rooms, he guided her through a few very quickly. In particular, when he came to a room that he refused to open, he explained that it was the tenant's room and did not want to violate their privacy. Amanda also noticed that the front door had a board nailed across it, indicating a problem with the door. As Amanda was nearing the end of the tour, the homeowner asked her to see the basement, saying it was newly furnished and would make a great room. The basement was under a dark staircase, and there was a thin piece of string tied across the staircase as a barrier. He opened the basement door and pointed down the stairs, inviting Amanda to see. At that moment, Amanda received a text message from an unknown number. She felt insecure and decided to pretend she was receiving a call. She announced that she had to go out and open the back door. With good reason, she asked the homeowner's permission and quickly left the house, feeling like she wanted to escape from there immediately. She drove at high speed, feeling like she was flying out of that area. When she got home, Amanda told her mother and my brother the whole incident. They decided to call the police immediately. The police arrived and took Amanda's statement, then began an investigation. They discovered that the house had been foreclosed on more than 6 months ago. The Craigslist post has long since been removed. When police investigated the house, they discovered a horrifying scene. The room the homeowner refused to show Amanda was filled with dirty old blankets, rotten food, and empty jars. The room's walls are covered with pages from pornographic magazines, creating a creepy and unusual space. Police also discovered that the basement, where Amanda had been invited to look, was nearly empty except for a pile of old blankets, a broom handle wrapped in a leather belt, and a small box containing several rolls of tape. These findings suggest the man may have been prepared for a criminal act. If it weren't for Amanda's quick thinking and vigilance, the situation could have become very serious. Police investigation continued, and Amanda was very lucky to escape that potential danger. Story 2. Suspicious bargain. One hot summer night, when I was 14 and out of work, I spent the night looking for goalie equipment on Craigslist. With a limited budget, I can only look for the best bargains. I don't care too much about the condition of the device, as long as the price is reasonable. While scrolling through the various ads, I spotted an unbelievable bargain: new goalkeeper pads and gloves on sale for just $50. The pictures in the ad looked pretty good, and the price was extremely cheap, so I decided to contact the seller. The seller quickly responded to my message and asked for some information, including my age. I answered honestly that I was 14 years old. His response struck me as a bit strange, as he expressed joy at knowing I was young and said it wasn't strange to him. Later, when I thought back, I felt that his reaction seemed a bit strange and suspicious, but at the time I just thought that maybe he was simply being friendly. When I asked for a specific address to come see the device, the seller did not provide the expected address but instead asked which town I was from and offered to meet me somewhere near my home. This made me feel a bit nervous, but because I didn't want to miss out on the bargain, I still agreed to meet him in the parking lot of a shopping center near my house. We agreed to meet at a specific meeting point in the parking lot. At the appointed time and place, I stood alone and waited, feeling hot and nervous. A few minutes passed, I heard a car horn and saw a white truck parked not far away, separate from other vehicles. I received a text from the seller saying he was in the white truck. My heart suddenly felt cold, but I tried to stay calm and asked him to bring the device outside so I could check it. The seller replied that the transaction would be more convenient if done in the truck. My feeling of unease increased rapidly, as if a cold wave swept through my body. I felt something was wrong and decided not to continue with the appointment. In a hurry, I left the meeting point and quickly ran back to my house. When I looked back, I saw the white truck starting to move in my direction. It looked like there was someone else in the passenger seat and the truck was following me. To avoid leading them to my house, I decided to go into the backyard of a random house nearby and jump over the fence. In the backyard, I felt nervous and scared, not knowing if the driver had seen me or had found out my address. I tried to calm down, took deep breaths, and returned home worried. But the feeling of fear still did not let me go, like a scary shadow that clung to me constantly. When I got home, I hastily told my parents about the incident. Although I don't have the tag number or detailed description of the seller's face, I can only inform about the suspicious white truck. The Craigslist ad has been removed, so I can't provide more information to my parents. That night, while I was lying in my room feeling nervous, I heard the sound of a car engine running outside. I peeked out the window and saw a white truck parked across the street, isolated in the weak light of the streetlight. A feeling of fear spread throughout my body as the truck suddenly drove down the road, quickly disappearing from my sight. I don't know if the person in the truck saw me or found out my address. These thoughts haunted me, making me feel insecure and confused. This feeling still haunts me to this day. Story 3. Mystery Buyer. One summer afternoon, I decided to sell my dining room set through Craigslist. Listed it for $1,200, but in the title I clearly stated that the price is slightly negotiable. The dining room set looks very nice and I hope a buyer can be found. However, living in a rural area with few people, I didn't receive many responses. After a long period of silence, I finally received a call from a man about the dining room set. His voice on the phone was shaky and a bit strange, but I didn't think much of it. He said he wanted to see the dining room set and would be there within the hour. I gave him the address and began preparing the dining room set, thoroughly cleaning it to make it look as good as possible. After only about 10 minutes, the doorbell rang. I felt surprised that the time came so quickly, especially since in my area it is rare for someone to live so close. When I opened the door, the uncomfortable feeling hit me immediately. The man standing in front of me was dressed very disheveled. He wore a white undershirt with yellow stains and pants that were too baggy and had a few tears. The mustard gray color of his pants had a large stain in the middle, and his hair was completely disheveled, as if he hadn't taken care of himself at all. He greeted me in a trembling voice and immediately entered the dining room, for that is the first room you see when you enter the house. He began to walk very slowly, making strange sounds as he touched each piece of furniture, as if trying to feel every inch of the dining room set. This scene made me feel nervous and strange. I decided to raise the price to break the silence. I reminded him that my asking price was $1,200. He stopped and looked at me with a scary smile. "About $500, he said. I laughed lightly, thinking he was joking. But when his smile turned into an angry expression, I realized he wasn't joking. I apologized and told him the lowest I was willing to go was $1,000. Immediately, he started acting more and more strangely. He put his hands on his head and made strange sounds, paced back and forth in the room, looking at me with anger and hatred. At that moment, I knew I had to take action to get him out of the house. I apologized to him again and thanked him for coming, obviously my way of wanting him to understand that it was time to leave. However, he didn't move and continued to look at me with eyes filled with malice. This man was much older than me and I didn't think I could fight him. The feeling of fear increased as he reached into his back pocket, and I quickly thought he might be reaching for a gun. Deciding to take immediate action, I ran upstairs to my bedroom, to my closet, and grabbed my loaded .45. I hid behind the wall and peeked into the dining room. When I returned to the bedroom, the man was gone. I locked the bedroom door and called the police, hiding behind the bed while I waited. It felt like hours passed before I heard police sirens outside the house. I remained hidden behind the bed, knowing that the man could be right outside my bedroom door. Luckily, I hadn't locked the bedroom door, and I heard the police enter the house. I walked out of the bedroom, raised my hand and showed them my identification. The police asked me to wait outside while they continued the search. About 5 minutes later, 2 police officers walked out with the handcuffed man. They reported that he had hidden a loaded gun in my pantry. Although I felt it was a miracle that the police were not shot, what haunted me the most was the malevolent look the man gave through the window of the police car as the car left the scene. His eyes were still full of hatred, as if the first thing he planned to do after getting out of prison was to come back to find me. These thoughts haunted me, making me feel insecure and anxious. I'm considering moving away because I can't stand the constant specter of that man possibly coming back. From this experience, I realized that I need to be careful when sending my address to anyone via Craigslist. These stories are not only personal experiences, but also a reminder that in the modern world, personal safety is of utmost importance. Always be cautious and trust your intuition when faced with uncertain situations. Being vigilant can help you avoid potential dangers and protect yourself in your daily life.